Hey, what's up, guys? Jag from Jaggy Sports, and it is April the 27th, 2022. Nets. I'm not going to talk about the games last night, which were phenomenal games. Memphis put on a clinic last night, Phoenix Suns as well. Tonight you have the Bulls facing elimination, Denver facing elimination, but I'm not going to talk about that. I am going to talk about the Nets, and I wasn't going to actually talk about the Nets, but I saw this clip on First Take, and I don't know. I have to get your guys' opinion. I don't agree with Stephen A. Smith. I get it, right? Kyrie Irving is in part to blame for the Nets' failure this season. Not fully responsible, but partly responsible. Take it for what you want. But Stephen A. Smith just went. He crossed the line today. I found, and he said Kyrie Irving is the worst teammate. Ben Simmons is the worst teammate. I think when you guys see this clip, you're just gonna be like, "Wow, that's some pretty harsh words." I get the fact that Kyrie is in partial blame to this, but to call him out saying that he's the worst teammate, Ben Simmons' worst teammate, that's pretty harsh. So check this clip out, and yeah, I'll let you guys be the judge.
Ultimately, this comes down to Mr. Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, and I'm saying this because of what he has done over the last couple of seasons. I'm not even bringing into any differences with LeBron James. I'm not bringing in anything with Boston and, whatever leadership he was lacking when Tatum and Brown went to the Eastern Conference Finals without him. But when he got there, they were bounced out by Milwaukee in the second round. I'm not bringing any of that up. I'm just relying on Brooklyn since he arrived. This guy's one of the worst teammates you could possibly have. He ain't worse than Ben Simmons. He is the worst. Ben Simmons might be the worst teammate in the history of basketball. I mean, when you really, really think about it.
The Nets opened the season as the favorites to win the NBA Finals, but Brooklyn did not win a single game in the playoffs, being swept by the Celtics. It's the first time both KD and Kyrie have ever been swept in the playoffs, and the first time Kyrie has been eliminated from the playoffs in the first round. Here's what he had to say after their exit.
I felt like I was letting the team down at a point where I wasn't able to play. We were trying to exercise every option for me to play, but I never wanted to just be about me. And I think it became a distraction at times.
All right, Mad Dog, I'm going to start with you on this one. So a lot of things went wrong with Brooklyn this entire season. Who would you blame the most for their Nets failure?
Well, listen, he's hanging fruit. So if you want to kill Kyrie, I'm sure Stephen A. might do that in a second. Go ahead. I mean, and I'll be right with him on that. I think, to me, he's poison. I don't think you're winning with him. Mm-hmm. So I'm down on him. But I'm going to put the blame on ownership and, to a certain degree, the GM, Sean Marks. This is an enabling organization. They fired Kenny Atkinson. He did not deserve to be fired a couple of years ago. Why? Because Irving and Durant decided they didn't want to play for Atkinson, so they got him out of there, and they bring Nash in, who had no experience whatsoever. That's number one. You can't have your players tell you who they should have coach. And they didn't want to play for Atkinson, so they fired him. That was a disaster. That's the first thing. Second thing, they bring in Harden at that trade. You should all know, and they gave up Allen, who's a very good boy. Could they have used him in this series against the Celtics, his size and everything else? And he's a good piece. He's a good intangible player. They bring Harden in, who basically annoyed everybody in Houston, didn't want to play there. That should be a warning right out of the gate. When you got a guy who basically decides he wants to not play for a franchise, yet he wants to play for you, that makes you wonder, you know what, I'm not going to go with this guy because he might not want to play for me down the road. I'm going to have the same problem that the Rockets had. So that's the second problem I don't like. Thirdly, they got all these rules for Irving. They did a good thing at the beginning of the year. You know what? No vaccinations. He's not playing any game. not going to play on the road. He's not. This is our team going forward, and it's unfortunate if it changes, we'll get him reinstated. But right now, he's not part of the ball club any way, shape, or form, which was the right way to go. Then they had some injuries, and they go the other way. Well, you know what? Now we can play. We'll let him play on the road. We'll worry about home thing. So they had the one situation where he couldn't play at all, which was the right thing because they didn't enable a player. And then they're in a situation where they change and they get off it. And they said, well, you know what, we need him now because we got a bunch of injuries. So to me, the Nets, and they're a very polarizing team anyway, to me, the Nets are exactly what they showed. This is their team. They have they have no winning culture. They got a couple of guys on the team. They play isolation basketball. They have Irving, who basically runs the whole deal, decides when he wants to play, when he doesn't want to play, and this is what you get. If they ever give him a big contract extension, they're absolutely crazy. But I'm going to put the blame on ownership. You don't see this issue with Harrison down in Miami. He lets Riley run the team. They got a winning culture. And Miami every year gives you good effort. The players play. And all of a sudden, once in a while, they play in an NBA final. There is no winning culture with the Nets. And for that, the ownership and Marks have to take some responsibility. Atkinson, trades, letting Irving basically rule the roost. That is what gets them in trouble. And so when they had to be in a situation where they had to have an identity and dig deep against a tough team and a tough-minded team in Boston, they had nowhere to go. And they cough up and blow 4 games. So I blame it on the ownership.
Not bad, Doggy, not bad.
You agree?
I get where you're coming. I didn't say that. I mean, I agree with you in terms of what you're saying about them, just not that they're the primary ones responsible for all of this. And the reason why I say to you is that, again, Kevin Durant arrives. He's around the team. He's one of the preeminent stars in the basketball universe. He comes to you as a 2-time champion who would have won 3 straight if he didn't tear his Achilles. So remember, his first year there, he was not on the basketball court.
Correct.
But he was around the team a lot. And because of his basketball acumen and him being around the team, if somebody like Atkinson was not somebody that he wanted there, then you have to trust that he might have an idea of what's best, particularly at that moment in time where he was presumably going to the New York Knicks and then he was convinced to come to the Brooklyn Nets. So you hand him the franchise, you got to roll with them. So I'm not going to blame ownership to the degree that you did because I thought initially they had no choice. Now from this point forward, you got to bring a heavy hand down because you gave him 3 years and you gave him the opportunity to turn around this franchise and to do so in a way that was productive and beneficial to all parties concerned. And that is not what has happened. So now you don't have to capitulate to Kevin Durant the way that you once did. But 3 years ago, you did.
Tell me what you think, right? Because at the end of the day, it's, to call somebody out like that, to say that he is the worst teammate, I get how you're saying he's in partial blame. I get it because all the distractions and whatnot kind of thing, and I get all the time that he spent away, but to actually say that you're the worst teammate, that's pretty harsh, right? Like I get the fact that he has a show to run, he wants the ratings and whatnot, and therefore you always see him yelling like right? But it's pretty bad when you're saying words like that. And even Jamie Foxx went on the record, I think on Monday, saying that Stephen A. overstepped his boundary when it came to Ben Simmons. Stephen A. Smith, I get it, he's got a show, but that for me, personally, I thought when he said the words "the worst teammate," he crossed the line. Tell me what you guys think. Did Stephen A. Smith cross the line? And actually, who is to blame for the Nets' failure? Who knows? I know everybody's going at KD. I don't think KD should get any of the blame. Like, he played his ass off. And he shouldn't get any of the blame. But, the media is all over KD. I don't know why. He did what he could, right? So, at the end of the day, tell me what you guys think. Who's to blame for the Nets' failure? And did Stephen A. cross the line when he called Kyrie and Ben Simmons the worst teammates? Jag from Jaggy Sports.